Hello, beautiful friends and book lovers. I hope that you're all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Heather, and here at Heather's Book Review, I tend to read and review thrillers and mysteries, but I will read the occasional hyped up fiction novel as well. Today, I am reviewing what I categorize as a crime thriller, and this is called Dark Roads by Chevy. I was gifted this finished copy by St. Martin's Press in exchange for an honest review. So if St. Martin's, you're watching this, thank you so much, because I mean, just thank you in general, but this book is freaking gorgeous. And I don't know what the word is for this when the pages are, I don't know if the camera's gonna autofocus, but when they're like this, where they like stick out a little bit, I gotta look that up because I love that. I don't know why, but it just makes it fun when you're reading it. Okay, so if you're new here, you can connect with me on Instagram and Goodreads. It's the same handle as my YouTube. It's just at Heather's Book Review. But this is a book where I actually feel like the inside flap here, description actually gives way too much away. So I'm going to give you my synopsis version. So I will be looking down, referencing my notes. But this says, our main character, Haley, lives in a small town, which is called Cold Creek. Side note, does anyone remember that store? There used to be like a store called Cold Creek. I don't even know if it's a store anymore. Whatever. Anyways, I'll put a still or a picture of it here because I remember like seeing that a lot when I was little, but I haven't seen it in years. Anyways, Haley lives in the town of Cold Creek, where there have been a series of killings over the years that some people in the town suspect to be the killings of a serial killer. So the town is described to be off of a major like highway, like interstate, and women are found brutally murdered right off of this highway. An unfortunate circumstance occurs, and our main character, Haley, has to go and live with her aunt, her cousin, and her aunt's new husband, who just happens to be the town sheriff. When uncomfortable and odd things start happening, Haley needs to understand if she's safe in her environment, and by doing so, she's going to make some decisions. And one of them is she better off surviving the wild terrain, that is this mountainous terrain? Is that going to be a better situation for her to survive in than the one that she currently is in now? Okay, so I'm really struggling rating this on my rating scale because it's so close to a go get this book now, but you guys, so for on my rating scale, I'm going to give this an enjoyable read. It's very, very, very close to a go get this book now, but some of the parts I felt were like really great, super, super, super fast paced. This book is split into 3 parts, and I thought that part 1 was like insanely gripping and good. Like I finished part 1 super quickly. Part 2 kind of dragged a little bit for me. I don't want to give anything away, so I won't say why, but then part 3 picks back up again, and it's really good. The book is great. The book it wraps up really beautifully. Yeah, I mean, I do, that's why it's so hard for me. It's like, is this a go get this book now? Or like, I don't know. It's so close. It's so neck and neck. You guys know I always like to tell you the prices on Amazon. It looks like the Kindle price is $14.99. There is an audiobook option, which I love. Hardcover looks like it's $17.27, and there is a paperback version for $17.99. So I just lost like no, not all, more than half of the footage because my phone decided to stop recording. I will say before I get into the spoiler section, this is a really good thriller that for me, like starts off insanely good, right? And then the middle like takes a little bit, and then the end is like freaking crazy again. It's definitely a thriller that like you could, pick up on a Friday night and, be finished by Sunday afternoon because you're just super highly invested in it. But I am going to go ahead and get into the spoiler section part of this video. So if you're new here, I will link a playlist up here for you if you want to check out some other reviews of mine. But I am going to get chatting for those of us who have read. If you want to leave in the comments what you thought about this book and it contains spoilers, please indicate that in the beginning of your comment. Just literally, I write this comment contains spoilers just because we don't want to ruin it for anyone. But wow, I did not see it coming that Mason was a sadistic killer. I felt like Chevy Stevens did a really good job of having us tunnel vision, well, at least for me, having me tunnel vision strictly on Vaughn. Just like his terrible character and him taking the pictures and everything. I was like 1000% convinced he was the killer. But the instance that planted the seed about Mason for me was the scene when Beth was like looking in her car or something in her campsite, and she looked up and all of a sudden Mason was right there and she felt really creeped out. And then as a reader, I'm like, oh my God, it's him. I will say for me, part 1 was like insanely good because I was super invested with Haley. She, it leaves on that amazing cliffhanger, like, oh my God, is she gonna die, in the cold mountain with Wolf? And then, not that part 2 is bad, it's not. For me, it's just because we left on that cliffhanger and then we're introduced to Beth. And then, Chevy Stevens does a really good job of like having all of this wonderful character development. But in order for that to happen, it takes time, right? She can't just, build Beth in 2 pages. So for me, it's like, I really wanted to know what was happening with Haley. Then I met Beth and we're like going along on Beth's journey. And then part 3 with both of the girls and everything was just like insanely good. I think just for me, like leaving off on that cliffhanger and then being introduced to Beth, it was just like, I had to be patient, but I was like, I wanted to speed through and see if Haley was still alive or not. The scene of Beth and Haley in Mason's garage, I was sweating while reading that because I was like, I was convinced one of the girls was gonna die. I was like, he's gonna somehow overpower them. I don't want either of these characters to die. You become invested in both of the characters. Oh my gosh, I need some water. So that scene was crazy. Vaughn was taking pictures for Mason because Mason was blackmailing him. I still wish we got to see justice for Vaughn at the end because even though he wasn't the sadistic killer, he's still an ass, right? Like you just hated his character. I did appreciate the epilogue from Amber's POV and the special like ghostly moments. I felt like it just wrapped everything up nicely and it kind of really wraps up the point of the book, which I feel like, Chevy Stevens makes a really good point in the acknowledgments and just showing, there are so many missing and murdered Indigenous women out there, whose murders go left unsolved. And I felt like with the ghostly part of Amber's spirit at the end, we were finding peace for those women, which was how it seemed. So I thought that was really beautifully done and wrapped up so nicely. And I will definitely be reading more of Chevy Stevens' work. I know quite a few friends on Instagram have seen when I was reading this and they messaged me and they're like, oh my God, you have to check out other books of hers. She's really great. So awesome. I mean, it's some great writing. I haven't read writing like that in quite some time. So it was a really wonderful read. As always, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.